Hello fellow rangers, welcome back to another video. Today we are on episode 4 of the Swordfish build, which is going to be the history of the Swordfish, and not just that, the history of this particular one, and a little bit on Operation Fuller, or in other terms, the legendary mishap which was the channel dash. There's a lot of things that didn't go according to plan on our side, unfortunately, letting three of the big German battleships get away. Sadly, it happens, unfortunately, and the crews who were sent out in their Swordfish, all 6 of them was shot down, unfortunately. They didn't have really any fighter cover, and the Swordfish being as slow as it is, it pretty much didn't stand a chance. And so the crew of this one, which is the crew of Whiskey 5984, sadly didn't make it. They were killed. Only, if I remember right, only 6 crew members actually survived from this operation. Of course, they were all honoured, but at the same time, things needed to be sorted, and a lot of good men lost their lives. Even the Germans actually thought about them as well, as. So yeah, pretty much essentially it's a sad loss. I'm going to tell you now, there's sadly no photos of our exact the Swordfish, but so pretty much when we go down to do the history, I'm going to be using my one here as essentially the background photos. And essentially, thank you to Naval Wings. I've used what they've described, well, their bit of history regarding the Swordfish. Because fair enough, I know the history personally, but putting it down in words is a little bit harder for myself, and I'd rather get it done properly than me it's just the fact that some of the interesting name, a nickname that was given to it was a string bag, because of course it would be all wires everywhere on it. It being an aircraft that was essentially designed during the beginning of the 30s, and Fairey was actually going to be, if the war didn't happen, and the Swordfish wasn't exactly planned to last as long as it did. It outlasted its actual successor, because there was going to be a Fairey Albatross coming, and that never happened. Essentially, they needed as many Swordfish as possible, so they built thousands of them. And amazing that essentially Albatross was just a Swordfish with a canopy, essentially, and slightly more powerful engine. But pretty much the Swordfish went without a cockpit, as in a full enclosed cockpit, until the Mark IV Swordfish, which would have been a good idea for those ones that on the essentially the convoys going to Russia, because the poor men who flew in those aircraft had to be carried out because they were that cold. Well, so I salute you, gentlemen. And that's definitely dedication. So right, let's get on with the history of the Fairey Swordfish.
The Fairey design for the Swordfish began as a private venture to satisfy a need to replace Greek Fairey IIIF aircraft. The original was known as the TSR-1, Torpedo Spotter Reconnaissance, but was not too successful and was significantly redesigned as the TSR-2 and re-engined with the Bristol Pegasus before being regarded as satisfactory. This aircraft first flew in 1934 and was taken into Royal Navy service in 1936 as the Swordfish Mk1. By the start of World War II, technology had moved on apace and it was already regarded as obsolete, but with a large number already in service it was nonetheless put to good use. It earned its nickname, string bag, because, like the shopping bags of the day, it could accommodate practically anything. It could carry a 1,610 pounds torpedo or a variety of depth charges, bombs, mines, rockets, or flares. Despite the Pegasus being the cutting edge of engine technology in 1934, it only managed to propel the Fish at a stately 90 knots cruise when lightly laden and 82 knots with a torpedo underslung, though it did prove to be a very reliable engine. The crew of 3 were not afforded too much comfort, there being no heater and the fabric covering an open cockpit affording little shelter from the cold in winter. Highly maneuverable, not many disparaging remarks have been recorded except perhaps its lack of speed. This facet did however work in its favor because enemy guns found it difficult to offset their sighting on such a slow target. As with most naval aircraft, the wings fold to minimize the room taken up in a ship's hangar. The undercarriage was designed to absorb a firm arrival on the heaving flight deck of a ship at sea, and she was fitted with an arrestor hook to make a short landing, having caught a wire on the carrier deck. Latterly some Swordfish were fitted with Ratog, a series of rockets that were fired to boost the aircraft to take-off speed in a very short distance. The observer navigated from the center cockpit using stop.
Right, fellow Rangers, when we went to the Wings and Wheels show in August, we were actually very fortunate to actually get a chance to see one of the 2 only flying Swordfish left, owned by the Naval Wings, where we got the history from just then, and essentially, and good news, because I try my best for you all, we actually have footage of it. You can hear the full engine, everything. It's no music on it, no nothing, so enjoy the lovely sound of a swordfish.
coming in from right to left. And the heart of the bulldog have just been thanked for their visit and wished well, and I'm sure our thanks go with them as well. Speed of the swordfish, amazing how many times that slow speed saved their neck when being fired at by anti-aircraft guns from submarines or from surface ships, because the gunners just could not understand why they were being attacked so slowly by such an apparently ponderous aircraft. By the time they'd worked it out, it had either released its own rockets or mine, and they looked just not felt the consequences. And here she comes. Carrying the familiar 18-inch torpedo, and she is quite a big old beast. Observing department. In hostilities, we have a machine gun that we drive it up and use it.
Big old bird, isn't it?
Bear in mind, that's the way they went to
Steve. Steve. There you go. Doesn't look like it's moving now, does it?
Yes, that was an amazing sight. I know it looked good on video, but actually hearing it in person was incredible. All the video just doesn't give the full amazingness of the presence of the Swordfish. It was absolutely a beautiful aircraft, and I'm definitely willing to fight for that, to ensure that, and that's my personal opinion. Other people's opinion may vary, but that's mine. It is a very iconic aircraft, the Swordfish. It was one of the reasons why we were able to sink the Bismarck, because it was pretty much the reason why the Bismarck's rudder got jammed, because essentially a torpedo from a Swordfish was able to jam the rudder to port, and essentially the Bismarck was turning in circles, so making it so that our battleships could catch up and sink her. So yeah, definitely an amazing thing. So right, I am part of a Airfix club on Facebook, of course, and I put it up on Facebook that I finished it, Swordfish, and there is somebody who actually gave me the full details regarding our Swordfish. He will be mentioned at the end of of the actual history, and essentially, all thanks to him, he's made it so it's a lot easier for me, and essentially, I've tried getting all the details regarding this. I don't know what it is. Some aircraft I'm finding it very, very difficult to get information on. So, anyone gives me any help, I'm always going to make a point of giving you credit for it in the video. And this gentleman will be credited in the video. So, big thank you to you. I know what your name is, but pronouncing it, I'd rather not mess it up. So, right. On to the brief history of the little bit about the Operation Fuller, but mainly about our Swordfish. W5984, flown by Lieutenant CDR Eugene Esmond and 825th Naval Air Squadron. On 11th of February 1942, the Channel Dash began, and the German battle fleet left Brest at 2114 hours, reaching the Dover Straits without being detected. The British response to the threat was later described as poor. Eugene's was based at Marston near Dover, and without fighter escort, which was late arriving, led his flight of 6 Swordfish to attack. They came under heavy fire from the battle fleet, as well as being attacked by Luftwaffe fighters. Despite the RAF arriving, all the Swordfish were damaged, and the escort fighters became separated from the torpedo bombers. Eugene's aircraft sustained a direct hit from an anti-aircraft fire that destroyed most of one of the port wings of his biplane, but he managed to lead his flight through the screen of enemy destroyers in an attempt to reach the battleships. However, he was attacked by a Focke-Wulf FW-190. His aircraft burst into flames and crashed into the sea.
On the 3rd of March 1942, Lieutenant CMDR Esmond was posthumously awarded the Victoria Cross. The citation in the London Gazette ending, "His high courage and splendid resolution will live in the traditions of the Royal Navy and will remain for many generations a fine memory." On the German side, Admiral Otto Ciliax, writing in his diary next day, "The mothball attack of a handful of ancient planes, piloted by men whose bravery surpasses any other action by either side that day. Eugene Esmond is buried in Gillingham, Woodlands, CWGC Cemetery in Kent. Also thank you to Ari Ritkonen for the information.
Right, fellow Rangers, I did try doing most of that myself, but then near the end I couldn't pronounce the words the way I wanted to, so I let the AI do the last bit. And to you, I know if you're still out there watching and you're out there to say that I can't read or comment or anything like that, keep your comments to yourself. Or if I do have disabilities, and I do try my best to honour the pilots and crew members who fly in these aircraft. So if you got any nasty comments, keep them to yourself. Or if you got comments which would help, then by all means, let me hear them. But if you're gonna just give foul comments, then save your time, because I'll just block you. Anyway, it's a shame, but a very honourable man, and by the sounds of it, and his crews that flown with him. And thank you to that name at the end of the AI bit. I'm not going to try to pronounce it because I know I will butcher it. But essentially, big thank you to you. You've made my life so much easier doing that for me, and I thank you very much. So on to the last two things one more thing we got to mention before the end of the video. Right, fellow Rangers, that is it for the Swordfish. Right, fellow Rangers, that is it for the Swordfish. I gotta say, wasn't exactly the easiest kit to build, but for me, but fair play, I was able to pull it off. It was a skill level, which is a higher skill level than what I've not done in the past. It's on skill level 3. So yeah, I've certainly managed. I think I've managed to do well regarding Eugene Esmond's memory as well. For whom, if we didn't have people like Eugene Esmond, we wouldn't be able to have our freedom we got today. As regarding that, thank you, Swordfish. I'll put that somewhere safe. Right. It's a charity. I'm not officially affiliated with them, but I have been given permission to use their logo in my videos. And that is a charity called Models for Heroes. Yes, Models for Heroes. It is that time, fellow Rangers. Is where we, if we can, support our veterans who are suffering with mental health and other conditions. And so essentially, this charity helps their veterans through the aid of bottle kits. Of course, we've just done this one, but anyway. And essentially what they do is they help the veterans, of course, with other things, and help them through the art with the aid of model kits. It's last time I checked on their website, they've built over 13,000 model kits. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Well done, guys. Amazing work. Good. One thing I really love about this charity, which is 3 ways of supporting them, which I honour 100%, and I like this idea. Unlike other charities, it's just one way or another way. There's multiple ways of doing it. So if you don't, because obviously first one is the one that everyone does, financial way of supporting them, and not many people nowadays can help out regarding that. So there is an alternative. There's 2 alternative options with Models for Heroes, which I absolutely love. Option 2 is, let's say for example you got a model kit you were given. You know for a fact you're not going to build it, and it's just sat on your shelf doing nothing. Rather than it being sat on your shelf doing nothing, why don't you send it to Models for Heroes, who's then a veteran could get use out of that kit and help them when they need it the most. Or option number 3 is the way what I'm doing is essentially Airfix has their own model club, and on the sides of each Airfix kit they have tokens, flying arrow tokens to be precise, and if you collect certain enough of them you can redeem a kit. Or you could do what I'm doing. You can cut these out, because I'm not part of the Airfix club. You can cut these tokens out and send these tokens off to Models for Heroes, and then they can redeem the kits. So it's a win-win. I get the support of the Models for Heroes with flying tokens, and they get to be able to redeem the kits through the thanks of Airfix with the flying tokens. And of course, I always make a point of, I've got an envelope and I'm waiting until I get quite a few, and I will be sending them off to Models for Heroes, and essentially there will be a little letter in there from us, essentially all of us. That's you, my loyal fellow Rangers, and myself, thanking them for all the servicemen and women for what they've done. They deserve everything they can get, and pretty much without their sacrifice and their dedication, we, as in civilians, and as well, wouldn't be able to do what we can do. So, and pretty much we know that they're there when we need them. So, flying tokens, flying arrow tokens. If you got an Airfix kit and you're doing it up, then don't, and you're not part of the Airfix club, remember to keep hold of them so that essentially, and send them on to Models for Heroes, because you're going to be helping someone out, and I love that idea, and I will be doing that myself. So, right, fellow Rangers, that would be it for this video. This entire build of the Swordfish. So it's that moment in the video, the history video, I go, right, this is what's next, and there's no change to the format regarding that. Essentially what I do is I got a stash of model aircraft. I let my father pick which model aircraft I'm doing next. So rather than me just randomly picking one and sort of already knowing what I'm going to do, I got a very random mix of aircraft that my father will just pick one out of it. It could be like a Swordfish, it could be like the Tempest that we just done, or the Spitfire, or the SE5. So I think he's done well yet again regarding his choice. It is the one and only Vickers Wellington, or the Wimpy, named after Wimpy from Popeye, nickname from Popeye. So thank you very much for watching, fellow Rangers. I hope you all take care. And if you are new to the channel, please consider subscribing, because there will be videos on this soon. Also, if you have liked today's video, please put a like on it, because it's so much appreciated to know that people do enjoy these videos. This is my way of honouring our veterans of all years. Doesn't matter, World War One, all of them. And they fought so that we could have our freedom today. And I honestly believe that we should do more for them. So, anyway, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon. So, till next time, my fellow Rangers, I hope you all take care. Keep doing what you enjoy doing. And one last thing I nearly forgot. If you have built your own kit and you would like to see your project in a video being featured, then please email me to the channel email, which is in the description below, lonerangervideo@gmail.com. So, if you send me photos, I will feature them in a video. But till next time, my fellow Rangers, this is one and only Lone Ranger signing out.